It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Wow. I'm really surprised by this headline.
Yeah?
Department of Homeland Security says it will not abide by Gavin Newsom's law enforcement mask ban in California. U.S. Department of Homeland Security said the law demonizes authorities and tries to ban them from shielding their identities for safety purposes. And here we thought, there was such hype and hoopla about Newsom passing this law, which was going to stop that, and blah, 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 blah. And we're like, This is nothing. This means nothing. It does nothing. And it's good that it does nothing.
Well, and it's one of those political moves. You think it makes you the hero. How do you not see where, number one, it's going nowhere, you have no authority, and number two, on the broad scale, because if Gavin's going to run in 28, most people look at that policy and go, yeah, they should probably, unfortunately, wear a mask because they could be targeted. And we've seen the radicals and how they behave. We know this is a fact. They want to target them in their personal lives. They want to point out it's part of the entire doxing portion of their agenda. This is, in fact, a tactic that has been used for a long, long time.
Well, this is something that mainstream Republicans need to come up and talk about and say, just like you did, with everything, with the Charlie Kirk assassination, with what's going on, shooting the ABC station. By the way, this is from, I didn't even know this. I'm reading this from ABC 10 in Sacramento. I didn't even.
Oh, you were reading the story from ABC
I went to a different website, and I just saw it now that it was ABC 10. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're just talking about it.
Yeah.
But with that, you're just like, look, the entire point is, if they truly don't want to have violence, they would stop this.
Right.
They would sit there and say, stop the doxing, because there's only one reason to dox.
Right.
One reason to do that. We all know it. Mainstream Republicans need to come out. It's got to be more than Ted Cruz and Rand Paul.
Right.
Need to come out and say this is wrong.
Yep.
The Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security said, at a time when ICE law enforcement faces a 1,000% increase in assaults and their family members are being doxxed and targeted, the sitting governor of California signs unconstitutional legislation that strips law enforcement of protections in a disgusting, diabolical, fundraising and PR stunt. But it doesn't strip law enforcement of anything because they were never going to abide by it. Why?
He doesn't have authority over them.
They don't have to. And I think it was Jonathan Turley who said, well, what's Newsom's next move then? Is he going to attempt to enforce the law? Or is it just political theater?
Right.
And then you're not going to do it? Well, try to enforce it.
Well, the radicals want him to enforce it.
Yeah. That's a great point. They probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is only appealing to the radicals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're appealing to the radicals, just putting out because basically all he's doing with the executive order, all that's doing, or the legislation, all that's doing, is performative theater. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's doing nothing.
It's doing absolutely nothing.
It's political theater to the far left, unless you actually have the fight in the streets.
They want you to follow through with this. If you're going to have this policy in place, they want you to enforce it.
Right. And so they're going to say the federal government can't come in here and not abide by our laws. Yeah, they can.
Yeah. Yeah, they can.
Again, But this is where we go back to the civics test yesterday.
Question number 112.
Right. This goes back to the civics test. And if you know how the country is made up, you know that the state can't pass a law dictating something to the federal government.
Right.
But they live in such a bubble, they probably think you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Wow.
Hell, Newsom might think it. I can't rule out that possibility. It goes nowhere. It absolutely goes nowhere, except for us on this side of it.
Well,
Demonstrates again not only their willingness, their goal to dox these agents, and they want full access to who these individuals are, who the agents are, so they can target them. That's what doxing is all about. That's what's behind we need these agents to take their masks off.
Yeah, in normal times, no, I'd rather police not have masks on.
Right.
In normal time, but they did during COVID, and nobody got objected to it.
Exactly.
Well, Newsom wants everybody to be masked except ICE and himself.
Yeah. That's it. The exceptions.
We go back. Yeah, but there's, Newsom wants ICE agents to feel threatened. What are ICE agents doing? ICE agents are carrying out the law passed by your elected representatives to the federal government. Mm-hmm. ICE is not doing anything except enforcing the law that the people of the United States have long agreed to.
Yeah.
This isn't ICE. Well, what they're doing is ICE is putting on masks and robbing banks.
Right.
And we need to stop that. If that was the case, I tend to believe that I and maybe Eric might agree with you that they shouldn't be wearing masks to rob banks.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, there is no evidence that ICE agents are robbing banks with masks on.
I haven't seen the evidence of that, so I'm assuming we would have seen it by now.
Well, that's because they're committing white-collar financial crimes.
Yeah. They're kidnapping people off the street.
Right, they're kidnapping. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what they want you to believe.
Right. But when you use terms like that, they're kidnapping people off the street. What are they actually doing? And this is where, again, to go back to Meathead, Rob Reiner, we can't really talk to them because they won't deal in the truth. Excuse me, who's saying that ICE is kidnapping people off the streets?
Yeah.
They're not.
Rob Reiner wants you to agree to his truth before he'll talk to you. Just say that out loud.
They're not doing it. What they're doing is they're enforcing federal law. Oh, what's federal law? But it's wrong federal law. It may be, then have your elected representatives change it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is as democratic as you can get in a constitutional republic. It is the people of the United States. Do we have to go? Well, we got to do. Apparently, every day is a civics lesson day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Why not?
The people of the United States went to the polls. Oh, okay. Mailed in.
Had someone else fill out their ballot.
Had somebody else fill out their ballots. So the people of the United States voted. I was going to say voted on Election Day. I can't do that either. The people of the United States voted
at some point around Election Day.
Between October and the courts extending it through February of the next year.
They might still be voting on it.
Yes. The people of the United States voted, elected representatives in Congress and the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
The elected representatives of the people created every single law that ICE is now following. As Tom Homan has said many times, we are enforcing the law, but we have to explain to the left where the law comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So ICE is following the law, and like I believe most law enforcement, they uphold the Constitution of the United States, and they follow what the laws are of the United States.
Yep.
And if they don't, then they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not kidnapping.
It is not.
And you're using that because you wish to create rage and anger in people.
Yep.
When you say it's the secret police, which of course it's not the secret police.
No, it is not.
We can find the names, and you can the names of the agents exist. They are employees of the Department of Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm.
So we know who they are. We can find out who they are if they break the law.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. The only reason they're doing this is because they want them harmed. They want the threat of harm to the ICE agents so the ICE agents won't do their job.
Right.
And Republicans need to focus on this more and pound on it day in and day out.
Yep. It's something, again, that the overwhelming majority of people understand why they have to wear masks and why they have to do the job they do. They understand it. I agree with you. I wish it weren't the case they had to wear the masks, but they do. And a big part of it has to do, one of the things too one of the other things too that we, haven't covered, at least in this segment this morning, is the threat to these agents by outside forces, meaning the cartels.
Yep, absolutely.
Because everyone has a phone, everyone has a camera. Cameras are always rolling, and you have to assume at some point the cartel may learn who these agents are. Forget doxing. It becomes far more direct and dangerous very quickly when the cartel can target these agents. So let's quit being stupid. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Gavin Newsom. Never mind.
No, but it's just completely and totally stupid. We know they've been targeted. We know that.
Yeah. Right.
It's already happened.
Right. No, it happens all the time. If there's an enforcement agent that they know of and they can identify, it's part of what they do. Because that too is to intimidate other agents to get them to quit.
Mm-hmm. By threatening them.
Yep.
That everything is about an implied threat of harm to you.
Right.
And that needs to be pointed out. That's why it's happening.
Right.
And understand just how immoral and how reprehensible a person Gavin Newsom is for promoting this as much as he's promoting it.
Right.
And any of the legislators that voted for this in the state of California.
They care nothing about the safety of the people, the law-abiding citizens of California. They care nothing about the lives of the agents.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howes Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
USDA's Conservation Reserve Program, by the numbers, for 2025. Farm Service Agency Administrator Bill Beam provides the totals for enrolled acreage through various CRP signups this year.
The Farm Service Agency recently announced acceptance of 1.78 million acres into the Conservation Reserve Program for the 2025 enrollments.
And that 1.78 million acres enrolled
Includes general sign-up, continuous sign-up, and grasslands in the Conservation and Reserve Enhancement Program, or CREP.
The latest signups resulted in 25.8 million acres currently enrolled in CRP.
We received offers on more than an additional 2.6 million acres. The program's total acreage is capped at 27 million acres for the year of 2025, of which 1.8 million acres was available for enrollment.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just reading this here, Eric, from PennLive.com. Pennsylvania college conservatives galvanized by Kirk murder. We solve issues with ballots, not bullets. And goes into what has happened since the assassination. Thousands of young conservatives are stepping forward, not to take Kirk's place, they say, but to pick up his mantle of spreading Christian conservative values through open dialogue and civil debate. This story chronicling the reaction on Pennsylvania college campuses and the longer-term implications this holds for Pennsylvania state politics was reported through a collaboration between Penn Live and Real Clear PA. I didn't know they were going statewide now.
I didn't know that.
Offshoots of Real Clear Politics. Already, Turning Point USA, the conservative youth outreach organization Kirk has co-founded, has now become the fastest growing political organization on the planet in the wake of Kirk's assassination. The group says it has received more than 62,000 requests nationwide from high school and college students looking to start new chapters or get involved with an existing one. The organization offered no details as to where the inquiries are coming from, nor how many will lead to new chapters. Still, Trevor Taylor, chair of the Adams County Young Republicans and a GOP committee member, is certain the force multiplier effect of Kirk's assassination is playing out in Pennsylvania and across the country. Instead of one large torch carried by Charlie Kirk, you're going to see smaller torches carried by many. This is doubling and tripling the effort, said Taylor, who at age 31 is the same age as Kirk. In Pennsylvania, this movement holds the potential to be a political game changer. I've had a dozen phone calls to see what I can do. What's the next step? Taylor said. Other like-minded individuals are having those same conversations. You know, the interesting thing, though, this isn't like really any type of organization that I know in recent memory. Definitely not the effort of the third political party.
Yeah.
Because it's not about a specific issue, but it's about the bigger issue of freedom of speech.
Right.
When you think about it.
Right.
It really is about freedom of speech. It's about dialogue. It's about the big picture of what the United States stands for many young people. Now, I'm sure there's some out there that there are specific issues that they believe, okay, we can move these in our direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think it's the big picture of open dialogue, of free speech, which is the big issues that can change young people.
Yep.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
So, yeah, reading this article from PennLive.com talking about in Pennsylvania, the effect they think it's going to have, Turning Point USA, the 62,000 request is what they're saying nationwide. And PennLive says, well, they haven't broke it down yet, but they say, yeah, it's going crazy right now. Young people wanting to be a part of it. Now, this is the part right here that I thought was interesting. In Pennsylvania, that apparatus, what they call the new refined conservative political apparatus. What is it? Well, in Pennsylvania, that apparatus, largely driven by Generation Z, that was already trending right, could propel the electorally critical Keystone State from purple to pink to red in the coming years. Right now, we are a pink state. We still have more registered Democrats than Republicans, but that margin is less than 50,000 votes. This is really going to help narrow that gap.
Interesting. I talked about, I've mentioned already the fact that I'm hoping that Charlie Kirk's legacy will be that there are more people that discover his work and discover what his mission statement was. Again, do I believe they're going to convert right away? No. But when you're willing to have the discussion, it means at that point you're willing to listen, then you're willing to consider. You won't convert everybody. But then we talk about beyond that. How many people who have been essentially afraid, intimidated by the mob from the left to even say anything or question anything, and now will feel empowered to think independently and to question anything and everything at will. That right there is also a big part of it. Because if you, in that age group, you and I played the audio cuts from the man on the street. Well, especially with identity politics and everything else. Well, do you think I could be a 10-foot tall Chinese person? And then they go, if you want to. And, you could hear it in their voice that they've been intimidated to just go along with it. And for those individuals, again, it's not just that you get people to listen, but for those who were willing to listen before and now feel empowered, not just to being open to this conversation and being a part of the conversation, but also going further with that and developing their critical thinking skills. That right there is an incredible legacy. That right there is the kind of change you hope for in a society. I think there are a couple of things. I think the assassination of Charlie Kirk was one of those moments in a free society where it's so shocking. And then the response from the radicals, also shocking. People were just taking inventory of everything, going, wait a minute. Not every death in our society of a notable person has that impact. And in fact, very few do. And then you saw it again if you think about his memorial service and the reach that it had and the conversation, again, that's still continuing around his mission statement. I really believe, turning point, those are the perfect words.
Yeah.
Because it is a turning point from years of indoctrination. We already saw the work that was done and how much progress was made with people in the 18 to 30-year-old age group and that demographic. Turning Point was a big part of that. But now think about those coming into that age group, right? Just now, maybe they're graduating high school, or they're 17, as Charlie was when he first wrote Glenn Beck and talked about being a very young conservative in high school. Think about that as they, again, if they feel empowered, they don't feel intimidated. They feel like they can have a conversation, or at the very least, just be a free, independent thinker. That is a massive difference between someone who, again, develops those critical thinking skills and someone who's just going to go along to get along because they fear the mob.
You know, I think about when I was in sixth grade. I always remember this, and I went to Catholic school. And then my mother switched me to public school. And in Catholic school, the monitor went everywhere with you. You were never without a monitor. Whether you went to the bathroom, monitors. Everywhere you went. Everybody went to. When I went to public school, and they let me walk from one class to another in this huge junior high school, I felt this incredible amount of freedom. I actually felt it. I went, this is great. I can walk. They let me go by myself. And we sit there as an adult. We think, but do kids really think that way? Yeah. When you think of these young people today with the brainwashing that even has gone on in many high schools and then into colleges, and how the I think it was the Pew Research poll that showed they rejected even the majority of Democrats, not Democrats, majority of self-identified liberals believe that the professors were over the top. And they go along just to get through. That's it. But they all know it's BS. But they feel that oppression coming from adults. What's the natural reaction? To reject that.
Yeah.
And then here, they in this article in Penn Live, they talk about this Matt Zupan, who's 26 years old. He's the chairman of the Blair County Republican Committee and the statewide grassroots director for Pennsylvania Young Republicans. He witnessed his generation's political impact firsthand. The 2024 election returns showed that President Donald Trump captured 57% of male Gen Z voters nationwide. In Pennsylvania, Kirk's visit to Penn State helped drive a 35% swing to Trump at a key university precinct. 35% swing at a key university precinct in just a 4-year span, according to analysis by VoteHub. Zupan now believes Kirk's assassination holds the potential to cement Gen Z as one of the most conservative generations ever. The seeds of this were planted during the COVID-19 pandemic, which Zupan said was used as an excuse to rob young people of their high school proms and graduations and their on-campus rites of passage at college. That drove them to Christianity and the church as the one place they could gather to find a sense of belonging. Kirk tapped into this cultural and religious shift among young people. Here's one thing I have to say. I am just blown away. At times I think, are they punking me? I cannot believe how many interviews I see with NFL players.
Yeah.
Which is completely different than just 5 years ago. Now, we said in the NFL remember the whole Black Lives Matter and everything else, and then you and I joked early on this year when they said, we're going to go back to, stop the hate and everything else. And we went, well, it actually applies to Democrats. And then you see the majority of NFL teams held some kind of video or ceremony or moment of silence for Charlie Kirk.
Right.
When you see the number of NFL players that commented on it, when you see the number of NFL players every time, whether win or loss, they're thanking God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these are, what's going on here? What's happening? Is this really happening? Are they being truthful? Are they punking me? What's going on? Because there's been such a huge shift in such a short time. But then you think about everything that has gone on, from the oppressive intellectual regime in colleges to the radical transgender movement. You think kids really believe? You think the majority of young kids believe, Gen Z believe, that the people that are 18 to 29, you actually think they believe a man can be a woman because the man says so?
No.
One thing I know about kids, they recognize, and teenagers, they recognize BS like that.
Yep.
And they mock BS.
Yep.
We did it. One thing that hasn't changed with teenagers, we mocked BS, and they did too. And they know when they're being BS'd, and they know when they're being BS'd in order to be manipulated. You take that along with COVID and everything else, and maybe the shift is that quick for a generation that really develops in that period between, 16 and 20 and 21 years of age.
I actually think that shift is quick, especially when there is a series of events, and Charlie Kirk's assassination is, I think, one of those key moments where, again, everyone is taking inventory, saying, what in the world is going on? And who is it that's trying to oppose simple conversation? Why would you want to shut that down? If you think about the control during COVID and how Charlie saw an opportunity there, because people everywhere, but especially in that age group, were looking for that sense of belonging. But I think they were looking for that sense also of guidance in that uncertainty, because what the government was doing and what especially the left was doing during that time really was nothing more than fear peddling, not based on the facts, not based on the science.
Yeah.
It was fear peddling, and that's, for any young person, that's something unsettling.
Yeah. I lost everything, and I didn't have to. They lied to us.
Exactly.
They kept me from doing it. And I go back to my old friend Parissa from Iran. That, what do you want? Why did you get out of Iran? Because I wanted to be able to swim with boys. Just swim. I mean, just because you can't. I wanted to be able to go to dances. I want to listen to music. I wanted to do this. Well, you think about this. They all lost those years in high school and college.
Yes.
And now they know that they lost. They feel that they were oppressed and denied.
And they'll never get them back.
Right. The rite of passage that like everybody else got, they didn't get it from a government that lied to them.
Right.
It didn't need to happen.
And now they know clearly that there was zero reason for the lying.
Right.
Zero reason for that control.
Because they weren't at risk.
Except for the power grab.
Yep.
And then they see that power grab in other areas. That
radical transgender movement, any political dissension not allowed on college campuses.
That will definitely wake you up, because it means you already had those critical thinking skills, which we believe you've always had on the right. On the left, they think you're stupid. They want you to stay stupid. But young people aren't stupid. And the moment they discover something and learn something, especially that they've been controlled by a group of people, that's it. They reject those kind of ideas wholeheartedly.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'm going to be very busy today cutting the lawn, a lot of lawn work, stuff like that. Eric, you rest up, and then you make sure that you watch Jimmy Kimmel before you come in, and then
Nope.
you can discuss Jimmy
Nope.
Kimmel, everything. You can talk about his guests, his
Nope.
best jokes, and everything else.
No.
We'll do the Jimmy Kimmel Top 10. Remember when radio
No.
used to do the Letterman Top 10? Radio used to do it
Yeah.
every morning.
Yeah.
Here's the Letterman Top 10.
Yeah.
It's like,
We can't be funny, so we'll let David Letterman be funny. What?
but I'll cover all the, there's some economic news probably coming out today. I'll cover that. You cover Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, 24/7.
So you want me to cover the sad stuff?
Yeah. No, just think to yourself, I am Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I'm not.
We all are Jimmy Kimmel.
I'll never be Jimmy Kimmel.
My God.
I can admit that right now, nor do I want to be.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.